so pleased that you are here. And I will say that we have a lot for you. There's going to be a lot that's going to come through today. So I'm so happy. But what we're going to do first is begin with a little centering meditation from Yarna, which will help us all. And then we'll get all of the Wilhelm information.
Okay, everyone. I am here watching the moon for the celebration for us and preparing you for the channeling session that is now happening. Celebration is what comes up for me right now. It's celebrating life and its beauties, conquering challenges, coming stronger, wiser, and growing with every experience. I'm getting goosebumps right now. The time has come. Time is now. So, what are you deciding to get out of this present moment in time? Are you choosing growth, expansion, beauty? Are you choosing God? You're standing in the middle, and you have the choice. Light and darkness, coming stronger, or staying where you're at. Make a decision and set an intention for yourself. What do you want to receive? Right? Which area would you like to get some advice? And wait for a moment, because the advice will come. Universal knowledge, answers, applicable in any situation of your life, or what is leaving Roger's mouth always is of value. Choose to implement it. If you do not apply the knowledge, it is simply knowledge. Use it wisely, ask for help, talk with people about it who are on that way that you are on. Surround yourself with people who are like-minded. You can have conversations with, and you grow. Go away from people who drain you. Love them, never hate, only love. Because the moment you hate, you forget to love. So get the best out of it. Sending you all the love, all the power. Close your eyes for one moment. Just take one deep breath in through the nose. And exhale pure love and gratitude. And enjoy the moment. Because it's your time. Namaste.
Thank you so much. And we are so pleased that you're here, and we've waited for you your entire lives. Now, we know that we say that every time, but today you will understand it. And there are new people that are here who you don't understand how we attracted you, but you will understand it today. You each come into the world at a particular time with a divine plan that you're meant to unfold. And as you do that, as you live it, as you start to embrace it, you live these really glorious, wonderful lives, and then you make a contribution to your world. This is why you're here at this particular time in this incarnation. Now, Roger wanted us to apologize to you for how challenging this time has been for you all, but we're not doing that because we know that what you have done in your life is so valuable and your world needs you now, which is why we have done everything. It only took us 35 years to get this to come together for you, but today is the day. Now, you're going to look at the date and think, well, how did it happen on this date? Well, we knew where you would be. We don't operate on your linear time. We know exactly what's going on, which is why we can give you this information through our messenger. And so on this date in 2012, we said you could fix it. And we're talking about your lives and your world. They're together. You are creating your life. You're creating your world. You do them both the same way. And the message we gave you this morning on our site, and you can find it there, we said you are manifesting a new world. This is why it looks so chaotic. You have to get rid of the old before you can bring in the new. And that's why you're here. And so today we're making this big confirmation of you because you are the most powerful beings on the planet. We have never met a human who was born with any less ability than any other. That's the dilemma that you've all lived. You're just as important as every other human that comes about, but you have different paths. So now let's talk about why we're doing this today, because your world is moving through a huge change, a restructuring, as we've said. And for the last several years, we've been giving you advice and guiding you so that you would enter into a place in your life where you could add energy to your world that would cause the change to happen. That's what's going on. You never understand everything until you start to discover who you are. Now, let's go back. We're going to give you something because then we're going to get as many questions as we can because we can feel that many of you have them and you've been moving through things physically, emotionally, and mentally that have been confusing, and we're going to tie them up for you today. Now, first of all, we want you to understand we've kind of explained why Wilhelm came through, why our being created that name, but he didn't understand it, just like you didn't understand what you have within you. It's a process that you use over linear time to take the steps into more understanding and higher awareness. You each do it, but you will do it in different ways. On January 1st, 2012, we were repeating again because we gave you a message that of infinite intelligence. You all have it. There's no one that has more than you. You just decide how much you're going to accept, and you're going to understand that by the particular life path that you were given. It's different for each of you, but they're unique. And that's the trouble. That's the difficulty that many of you have because you're looking to others to be exactly like you, except you're supposed to develop and own who you are. Now, the condition of your world right now is occurring because too many humans on in this planet have forgotten their autonomy, have forgotten their power, have forgotten everything because it's been talked out of you. You've been programmed not to believe in who you are. And it's gone on for eons. We've talked about this before. If you go back and listen to our earlier messages, you couldn't have heard this or understood it then, but you will understand it now because you're seeing it. That's what our being was getting so upset because for the last several years, he kept trying to get more of you to move and start to do something. And he knew that he wasn't doing it as well. We're saying that because we want all of you now to let go of your judgment. Let go of your judgment of what you haven't done, what you haven't accomplished, what you didn't understand, because you're going to understand more today. Now, when he started receiving us, because you all have guidance, you have guides, you may not access them in precisely the way that he is doing because this was the path that he chose. You each choose something before you come, but don't worry about that. You don't always understand that, accept it, or even believe it. But we've given you many things to try to get you to understand your divine plan. You each have one. There would be no reason for you to be born if you didn't have it. Now, you don't always remember it, but we're speaking to you. We're saying this because there are many on your planet who will have no clue as to what we're talking about, but you do. That's why you got here, because you know there's something within you. You know that you don't want to see the world the way that it is now. You know that you've been frightened because of the way things have been moving. And we're telling you that it's within you to bring something forth to change all of that. You wouldn't have understood it before today, but now you will. When Roger started receiving us in 1988, he was frightened. He said, oh, wow, what happened when we came through? And then we said, we're your higher self, another aspect of you. But if that makes you uncomfortable, you can call us whatever you like. And he said, Wilhelm. Didn't know where that came from. Never knew it for years. He didn't know it until we started revealing it. What we're saying to you, things get revealed to you. You have glimpses as you move throughout your life, or clues, so to speak, to figure out the particular puzzle of your life. That's all. And so once you start doing that, you make different interpretations, and the interpretations that you will make will create a type of energy. So if you're making an interpretation that somehow you're bad, wrong, and all of that, then you're putting negative, lower vibrational energies into your world. But if you're making a choice and a decision that what's occurring for you is to help you, is to allow you to expand and evolve and move more to the light, move more to love, then you're putting a very different energy in the world, and your world would not look the way that it does now. And we're saying that because many years ago we said to you, please stop burning down your planet. And then you're going to see what things are going on. Now, we're talking about energy here. We want you to understand everything is energy. There are no beings that have any more energy than another. It's just about how you decide to use it, how you're going to direct it. But none of you understand that because you move through evolution where you understand more. Your world doesn't look anything like it did 500 years ago. We bring up the 500 years because we brought that up a long time ago. As we told Roger, please look at Martin Luther from 500 years ago, because there was a change that happened from breaking down the old hierarchy that existed at that time, but you're doing it again now. but it's challenging because many of you don't want to change. That's the difficulty. You don't want to go into that unknown because it seems a little scary. But we are saying that the unknown that is within you is all powerful. It has everything. You've just been talked out of it. Now, if we began giving these talks several years ago, because we had to force our messenger to do that as well, because he's very introverted, so this is not comfortable, but he knew he had to bring this forth. But we said to you then that we wanted to take away your fear and doubt. We can't take it away, but we wanted to, make it more manageable as you're moving through these tumultuous times, because you can see them and you're wondering what's going to happen now. What's going to happen is that you're going to decide that you're going to love yourself. You're going to develop what is within you. You're going to give your gifts to others. You're going to help them understand it as well. And then in 2025, you have a very different world. We're saying that because your world is also operating on energy. Everything is, and your planets are affecting the energy. We could explain everything why this is happening now and why we said the United States would lead the way, and you see it going on now. And please don't be alarmed by what's happening. Again, it's energy, and you have to uncover what you couldn't see before. And so then you can build something new. But it's going to take you a while because, again, the energy is going to move a little bit slower. It's been feeling to you like it's moving very quickly, but it's in total, it's moving slower because not enough people have owned the essence of who they are. But you're going to change that because you're here. You're listening to us. Anyone who would listen to us, you have something to bring to this world because you've never been in an accidental place. You just decide when you're going to hear it and when you're going to believe it, because we're speaking to you like your higher self, because you heard this. That still small voice, you've all had it, but you doubt it. And this is what we want you to understand. So over time, over civilizations, you develop ideas and ways of being. Since the time the humans came onto the planet. And as we said before, over that time, what you start to do is you want to have power. You want to control things. You want to control. We said that money, love, power, and control are the issues that all humanity deal with as they try to evolve to create a different planet, a better planet, an ascended planet. That's what you're all doing now. That's what this period is. And there's certain times over within your time trajectory that you can see, and it's affected by all the energies of the galactic movements as well. But you can see all of that, and it will affect you as the individual, and it affects your world that way as well. Now, we want to give you this because then we'll go to the questions, because we know that there are going to be plenty of them. But the reason that we said the United States would lead the way, and we want you to understand this because in the next several months, you're going to see more chaos with that. But understand that the chaos is cleaning things up, let's say. It's cleaning things up so you can thrive, so that you can have these really great lives. When the United States was formed, when it did its constitution, everything is energy. Whatever you do at any particular moment is an energetic choice that you make. And so the country made a choice that we're going to create a country that's going to be equal and free and inclusive for all. That didn't happen. You can see that. We've given you all of this information over the years. And then we did something really wonderful. And you can go back to our messages on the 28th and see that we even brought in Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which many of you didn't understand why we were doing that. But we said that you are right, and so are they. We gave you that, but we've given it to you over several years on that date, because we used that date because that's when he did the March on Washington, where many of you said, oh, yes, I have a dream. And then you forgot about it. That's what happened. You forgot about it as a humanity, as a place where you could all become equal and thrive. And so now you exist so that you can make that change. That's why. How do you think that your world is created? Humans come in and they decide to do something, and then they create something better. And what we did is we gave our being all the information to bring to you now so that you could use it. And so now let's talk about why he said Wilhelm and he didn't understand. And then it was so funny because we watched him over the years go through this. He would write Wilhelm, and then certain places would try to correct it. They said, no, it's two L's. He said, no, it's one L. He knew it was one L. He didn't know why he knew that. We're saying that because none of you, most of you, do not really know exactly why you're having certain feelings. That's your intuition, but it's guidance as well. And then it starts to become revealed to you, and then you can start to own it. So today we took him back because we always do this before we do these calls because we want to give him more information to give to you so you feel more secure in what's happening in your life. But we showed him he's never visited many of this. We told him a long time ago, and we brought it up in this. He came into this world at this time to marry science and spirituality and human development and potential. That's what it is, and that's what he's been doing the entire time. And then he took all of our work, and then he's demonstrating what can happen. It's so funny. We had him do an interview yesterday. Nothing happens accidentally. It may seem that way to you, but it's never accidental. It's timed perfectly. But we had him do an interview yesterday with these two lovely ladies who were sitting there reading the book that we had him write many years ago on fear, how to overcome fear, Guide to Freedom, because that does give you your freedom. However, they're sitting there and they're talking to him and they're just staring, and I go, wait a minute. How could you be this happy? How could you be this joy when you've gone through all these horrible things? Well, they didn't know. He didn't even write all of it because none of you really own all of it. So, but as much as they read, it was just, they were just shocked. And so that will be out in probably about a week or so. And so more people will understand, because we said we want you to understand what you can do. You can accomplish anything. And what you can accomplish in your life, you can accomplish in your world. And the world is looking the way that it does now because you haven't owned all of you yet. It's not a bad thing. It's just that you're always in process of doing that. And this is a particular time. So what happened when he said Wilhelm in 1988 had no clue, then we started giving him clues along the way. You each have this within your lives, which is why in our work, we have you go back and find them, because you have a wealth of legacy and in your DNA and your ancestry. You have wisdom that's there, but the wisdom has to be developed by you to bring it into something new so you can create the new world. So what we gave him was an understanding, and we used Friedrich Nietzsche as one of the sources, and we brought it. We want to talk about this today because if you understand, his teachings have been distorted over the years because his sister decided after he died, because we told you we weren't going to let Roger die that way poor and not have his information out, because many leaders have done that, many philosophers, because you don't understand what they have given you until after they're gone. Then, oh, now this makes sense. Well, we're not doing that. We're causing him to bring it out now. We're even set up a meeting for him tomorrow to keep continuing, because as we said before, we've given him everything and he hasn't finished it yet. Neither have you. But that's the process that you're moving through now. And so what happened was that information was changed over the years. And so you got a distorted idea of what Nietzsche was trying to bring to you. And then he suffered for so many physical illnesses throughout his life. And that's why he died for quite early as well. And so did Roger. But the difference is Roger's cured them all. He's healed them all. Because you have to bring in new information to bring into a new world. Now, it went back further, though, because, see, then he talked about Goethe. We're bringing in all of these because we want you to understand you have a stream of consciousness that exists forever, and you each will tap into it if it's part of your timeline, if it's part of your DNA. But then what happens is you get that information, you live a life that's of abundance, you create something magnificent, and then you leave it for others that come behind. That's what happens. There's no other way that your world gets created except what you do in this moment. And you can only create anything in your moment of now. We're saying that because we're feeling that many of you are having these regrets in your lives, that you're looking at everything, and we don't want you to be there, because you can't change that except you can change it in your now. Now, the things that you did, you can grab the information from that, and then you use your moment of now to create something new, and that's what you're all doing now. And so then what happened when he started looking at this, he saw, oh, wait a minute, Nietzsche was influenced by Goethe. Yeah, and then we took him back there, and he saw Goethe, and Goethe wrote a piece, and you can find this, Wilhelm Meister, The Search for Self-Actualization. And that's what we're doing here. That's all the work that we've given all of you. See, because there's no one who has more ability than you to self-actualize. There isn't, because you're given all the same abilities. It's your consciousness. The difficulty is you've been programmed to think that you don't have it. And that's gone on for generations. That's why you're having a restructuring. And that's why we gave you all of this information so that you could live this. You're supposed to have a beautiful life. You're supposed to have fun. You're supposed to have abundance because you all have it. But it's just that it's been talked out of you over generations, you see. And then you start having divisions within your world where you're fighting and killing one another for no reason, because you lost a sense of humanity. You've lost a sense, but it's not your fault, because again, you were taught something different along the way. But now, in this day, this is such a powerful day. So we're so pleased that we're doing this, because you're going to understand, you're going to see other things happening in your world, but we're putting something different in, and you are as well, simply by being here. And that's why we're so happy. And this is why we've always said to you, we have waited for you your entire lives, because see, consciousness evolves over time, and it requires your acceptance. You see, that's what it is. And you don't do that all at once. You have to use your human brains. You know much more about neuroscience now, so you understand how that works. And Roger can sit and talk to you about neuroscience forever, and he never studied it. And we want to you to understand something else. The reason this is challenging for him, and maybe for you, because he didn't study any of these things. He received it cosmically, which was also very challenging for him to accept. But the difference is, you know, you can listen to a lot of other people. You have many other channels out there, many other people who are doing this kind of information. The difference was, we're showing you the result. You're looking at someone who's went through all the things that you could possibly imagine and said, no, you can't accomplish anything. And that's what we're giving to you, because it's never been a more important time in your world for you to accomplish that. If you understand quantum, well, you won't understand all of it. It's still being developed, but you have enough information now to understand quantum sciences. And so you didn't have that information many years ago, but you have it now, meaning that the energy that you place into the world becomes creative in your life and in your world. And then you have a collection of beings who are putting a particular energy into the world, then you have a result. Now, we told you before, you're going to have to choose. You're moving into that period in your world where you're going to have to choose who you want to be. And it's always a choice, because see, it's going to be a little challenging, because there are many others who are believing something else, and that's a generational thing as well. That's just the life path that they had, but it's okay, because you need contrast for you to evolve. You can't make choices about what you want new unless you have something that motivates you to make that choice. And sometimes it's really ugly things that, as you would term them, we don't see them that way, but you might. And so, but what we're saying is, you are the people who are going to bring in this new world. And we're so happy that you're doing it. And we're going to not up the ante a little bit more, because we have to, our messenger here, you know, he called himself the reluctant mystic. He can no longer be that, because your world needs more voices like you to come to the fore and bring in this information of light and love, because you are divine beings that came to this world for this particular time, we might add. You are never in an accidental time in your life or in the world, and you've never had an accidental event. And we've given you that too, because we want you to start appreciating the stuff. Even the things, this is the other thing that goes on. Many of you have had challenges and difficulties, and you start judging yourself for them, but you're not understanding that you agree, that you move through those. We won't say agree, because many of you don't accept that, but you have those things, because as you move through them, they cause you to expand the collective. You see, it's not just you. What you do, what you move through, you give that back to others if you don't have shame and embarrassment. And that carries on for many of you a while, because you think you did something wrong. We keep telling you never did anything wrong. You're learning. You're just remembering. Sometimes you're remembering. And that was the thing that we would give our being so much. And he just hated that one. You will remember. He says, what am I going to remember? And then we said, you knew before you were born, because I didn't know anything. All of you will have that fight. But we are telling you that's okay, because you're going to have it. But we know that you were born as divine beings with a plan that's meant to be fulfilled. And as you do it, you're going to have a very different life, and you're going to see a very different world. And this is what we're building. And today, and we want you to understand this. Now, many of you don't look at astrology. We understand that, but it's very powerful when you do, especially if you connect yourself to it. You each came into the world with unique DNAs, and you did that a specific time when your parents, when your whoever who created you decided this is the time that this being is going to be made. So in that instant, you have this genetic makeup, this genetic code with all the beauty within it. And you just figure it out as you move along. It's not going to be anything like your parents necessarily. Sometimes you'll find similarities, but you're never going to be like anyone else. You have this unique plan that you're meant to live, and it's going to bring you fulfillment, and it's about bringing you abundance in every single manner that you can possibly think of. And this is what we've been guiding you to. And so many of you have made such great. We're going to talk about this too, because we've seen, our being hasn't seen any of this, but we've seen many of you during our work who are just coming to this greater awareness, and it makes us so happy. We can't even begin to tell you, and you can't even understand how that's happening. And we love it when we would give you your birthday messages and you go, how did that happen? How did they give me my birthday message? It's because you're connected to cosmic consciousness. And so all we did was interpret it on that time when you were born, because you have this plan and we could see it. That's all. It took a long time for our being to even trust that. And even when we told him, we did that. And then many of you have had that experience. But the other thing that happens, you give up. You just stop. And we've given you that. And this is what's happened in your world. You stop evolving. You don't stop it, but you halt it. And the way that you halt it, you slow it down, is by not honoring who you are and going into fear, which again, why we gave you the book on fear. That's all that ever occurs, because you have unlimited power and ability and magnificence that's all within you. It just takes time. And this is why we use linear time. And we want to explain this to you, because we do not do the things that many of the others do, where here 3 days you're going to be a new person. That doesn't work. Your human brains do not operate that way, and your DNA would not allow that to happen. It would be really an interference in what you're supposed to do. It takes time, your linear time, for you to accept and move through the blockages. You're always moving through limitations that have existed in your consciousness, and there is a collective unconsciousness that exists as well, and it has gotten to a place where it's a little dark. And so, but you are here to lighten the load. That's what we wanted to say. So let's do this. There's so much more information that's going to come through, and it will come through in your questions. So let's start doing that now.
Wonderful. So the Q&A is now live. Click on the Q&A button in order to ask Wilhelm your question. And we have questions already filling in. Here we go. Hi, Wilhelm. Please provide information around my physiological healing as it synchronizes with my ability to sing, and also generally with my rebirth. Is it normal to dip one day, then feel more imbalance, then dip and feel like I lost progress made? Thank you.
Yes, we love that so much, because we've given you this. And so, but thank you, because many of you are feeling that. But what we said, we gave you a message. We gave you so many of them. Well, we gave one on progression, and then we also gave you one on cycles. See, because you will move through a cycle, and that is this old programming that's embedded within you that feels really dark and dense and all of that. And then you figure out something, and then you move, and now you're happy. But then there's more, because you're never done. You're always evolving. There are levels of existence of understanding and awareness that you could just move to, and that you wouldn't believe. And this is what you kind of understood when you started speaking of, Jesus and Buddha and all these other people. But we gave you a message. You'll see that too. We said you didn't believe Jesus or Buddha either. However, you're in a progression, yes, and we need you to relax with it. That's why we said, when we started doing these talks, we said we want to take down your fear and doubt. Now, we can't do it for you. We give you the guidance. It's all within you, because you are these enormous beings who have this wisdom, but you have to give yourself time. And we're saying this now because we want you to be patient, because the energies are so much and especially the next several days, and you'll feel them. But then when you embrace into you, retreat into you, self-care is never going to be more important than right now. Just do something that is going to. Oh, let's go back to the music thing. When you are connected to music, you're connected to spirit. You're connected to source. That's many of you will find that. So just honor that. But thank you for bringing that up, because many of you have felt these physical things going on that are freaking you out. But that's because the energy is changing in your planet, and you just have to relax into your uplifting. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Recently, I've been experiencing a growing indication or inclination to shine my light and share my wisdom. Through my YouTube channel, I've been sharing my effective practices and providing guidance to those I'm drawn to assist in my life. However, there's a sense within me that urges me to extend my efforts. I'm uncertain whether this restlessness is importance or a manifestation of my intuition at play.
It's both. It's both. And we love you so much. That's so great. Let's go back, because first of all, be patient with yourself, and be proud and patient with yourself, both. Because the fact that you did the channel is a huge step, because most of you don't want to be seen. You don't want people to know who you are and all that. And then you don't give away what you have. And then your world just goes a little insane. However, and then, yes, you are being urged to take it bigger. All of you are. This is why we're doing this. This is why we said you can accomplish anything. You grow in increments over time. And so you will feel this kind of push. Yes, got to do it. We'll tell you, we would never be sitting here, have our being sitting here talking to you, unless we made him feel like you did. That's all. We sat him down. We said, you have to start talking. You know what's happening. You can't keep hiding anymore. It was a challenge. So we're saying that. So don't judge yourself. You're making those steps. And this is why we tell you, take baby steps, because each time you step into a higher degree, higher acceptance of your consciousness, and then it becomes comfortable. That's what happens. And this is why we gave you the message. You see, because you have this fear. This is what you see it on the screen. And then you go into it. It's like, oh, wow, this feels really great. But you will have the initial fear of taking that step, because again, that's been ingrained. But it's also necessary, because you don't evolve unless there's something pushing you in a particular way or urging you to take that next step. And then you become comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Recently, I've been doing a guided meditation. I've heard a voice say a word I didn't understand that wasn't a part of the recording.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt an overwhelming sensation of energy like nothing I've ever felt before throughout my whole body that lasted for maybe 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any insight into what this might have been?
Yes, you were tapping into higher wisdom, and that's so great. We used to give Roger words. You'll get this too, because you'll understand it. We would give him words, and we're glad you mentioned that you heard it. See, because that's the thing that kind of frightens you, some of you, when you hear that. Is that real? Yes, you have communication. Your higher self is always speaking to you. However, when you start to trust that, it'll be okay. But we would give him words that he didn't know what they meant. He didn't, and he would write them down. And this is before he started sharing these messages with you. There may be some in there, but he didn't really share this. He would write the word down, and then we actually gave you a whole message on that. I think he just shared it the other day, where he showed where he had it's somewhere. It's in there. He'll bring it up. But anyway, he would write the word down, and we could feel that he didn't understand it, and we would say, "Look it up." Do you see? You have access to information, that infinite intelligence that comes through you, through your intuition, your higher self. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. That's your exploration. So yes, you're doing great things. And so we want to thank you for what you're doing, because you've opened up a whole realm of awareness for so many people by that question. And we thank you so much.
Thank you for that. A lot of information out there talks into how world elites want to reduce the world population drastically. Is that something that is supposed to come into fruition, or common people like us can change that agenda? Can common people like that,
Sorry,
like us, change that event?
we missed a word in the beginning. Could you do that again?
Absolutely. There is a lot of information out there that talks about how world elites want to reduce the world population dramatically.
Hmm.
Is that something that's supposed to come into fruition, or can common people like us change that agenda?
You, you guys are so brilliant. Well, this is what we're talking about. The elite have ruled your world forever. That's what's gone on, and it's gone on for generations. This is why we want you to see the change of civilization over time, and you're in that period now. And no, they're not going to diminish you. You have to take control. This is why we've been saying there's no poverty, that there's no lack of anything in your world, but you just have not given it to yourself. Let's go back. We want to talk about this. There's a prevailing thing that has gone on for centuries, that the elite have all this money and resources, and they're going to give it to all of you. That's never happened, and it's been passed down forever, and you start to believe it. They don't have any more than you. You just haven't been willing to accept it or develop the consciousness that would allow it to come to you, because it's all energy again. But this particular period, with all the configurations of the galaxies, are causing more of you to come to that awareness. This is why you're seeing the conflict again. However, we were talking about this earlier, and we wanted we're talking about the United States, and we're using them as an example. And if you go back and look at the President Herbert Hoover, he started that whole idea, and then others carried it on. The trickle down thing, the trickle down theory. Look that up when you get a chance, and you'll see what we're talking about. It didn't work, and this is why you have people now who are starving to death, because the elite are holding on to it. You can see it. They've got their big mansions. They have all of that. But you are the ones now who are going to make that change. This is why we said you're having a restructuring. You're building things anew, and you are going to do it. We're so glad you noticed that. And so don't believe that they have it, because you are the ones who are supposed to have it. That's all. They just are holding on to it because you haven't asked for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And the Q&A is now closed. We have more than enough questions to carry us to the end of the hour, and we may go a little over, making sure that every question is answered. If you did not get a chance to ask your question yet, please bring that question to the next channeling session. The next question: how can I be more compassionate towards others?
By loving yourself first. That's all. See, because you're noticing that you're not being compassionate, and that's because something has been programmed into you. This is what we're talking about, all of this. You've all been programmed into limitation and restriction. And so now that you're noticing that you're not being compassionate to others, that's because you haven't been compassionate to yourself. We've said all the time, you're all one. So what you're feeling within yourself, you're projecting to God or giving to others, whatever it is. But you are noticing that now, and we're so glad that you are, that you're not being compassionate, because we're turning it around. The person that you're supposed to be the most compassionate to is yourself, and you haven't done that. Many of you haven't done that because you keep judging yourself because of these old beliefs and this programming that has been controlling your society. You exist now to bring in this new world, and that's going to be by first deciding that you matter, that you deserve love, that you deserve abundance, that's natural to all of you. So your awareness, your higher self said you're not being compassionate. But again, this is a solitary life that you're living in your individual journey in a collective world. And so what you have to do is decide first, I'm going to love me. See, we're going to tell you, because our being here, he's moved through all of this, and we've talked about it. And he had to go through all of his anger, hatred, judgments. We've had him write about it for years and years and years, and it's gone. And so now he can't see that within any of you. That's a higher state of awareness. That's a higher state of consciousness where we've been attempting to guide more to who were willing to go there. But you have made a big, big leap just by making that acknowledgement, and we love you for that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. I have been on my spiritual path since 2021. I have found that my financial situation has worsened. Is this karmic?
Mm-hmm. It's not karmic. It's what you agreed to. We want you to get rid of that. We don't like you. We don't use that. We use dharma a little bit more, which we would love for many of you to understand. But let's put it this way: you have accepted. Oh, you're so beautiful because you moved at just the right time. You moved at just the right time, and this is going to be the challenge that many of you have. Our being has it as well. This is why we're having him change. We've been talking about the money thing forever, because that's what each of you need to change. So you've had this division in your world that said that if you start going into this spiritual or other kind of work, that somehow you're supposed to be poor. That's the difficulty. No, when we talk about spiritual, first of all, we're saying that it's the acknowledgement that every soul has purpose and every soul has worth. That's what we mean, not any of the other definitions that you might find. So when you made that move, and this is so great because we're feeling all of this in 2021, when the energies were changing, and you said, "Oh, wait a minute, I've got to do something else now. I'm being awakened to something. Let me go here." But then it felt a little uncomfortable. You weren't quite sure, but then your guide said, "Well, we're going to make sure, because we're not going to give you the money that you had from doing the other things. We did this with our being as well." But now what's going to happen, because the energies are changing, we need you to just keep affirming that you have the money. We want you to change your thoughts about that, because you've already put this negative connotation that you're going to go broke because you're going spiritual. That never has to happen for any of you. And so, but now you have to take consciously and open your every day, do a ritual where you're just seeing abundance coming in, where you're just affirming it and saying, "I am abundant. I am." Just start doing something different. The energies will start to shift. But you've made we just want to assure you, do not give up right now, because you're on the right path and you made that shift at that precise time, because the universe said, "We need you now." So we're so happy you did that. No, you're not being punished. It's not karma. It's none of that. It's something that your soul said you could do, and you're going to do it, and we're going to keep supporting you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And that leads beautifully to this next question. I've been hearing about rituals for manifesting during the super blue moon. What is your perspective on this?
You can manifest anytime. It's just that right now there's so much more energy that it's going to be much more powerful, because this particular full moon is about acknowledging and letting go of the old stuff and grabbing the new stuff. And that's a mental process that you will do. It's an energetic one, but now you have the energies of the universe helping you. So that sometimes the rituals might get you in a little bit of trouble, because you think that that's the only thing that's happening. The ritual goes on all the time, but it is helpful to have a dedicated time during this time to do it. But the ritual that we would like for you to use is that I am already abundant, and now it's showing up. That's all. It's just showing up, and just have that belief. We're going to give you something else, because we've given our being so many things over the years that this is why we're having him change everything tomorrow, because you got to put all of this together, because it would help so many. This is what happened. We told this story before, but when he first moved to California in 1982, he didn't have any money. He had nothing. But he saw this car that he wanted to have. He just knew he was going to have it. That's all. He had no physical means of understanding how that was going to occur, but he didn't doubt that he was going to have the car. And then a couple of years later, he had that car. See, because he didn't doubt it, he didn't put that in. What many of you do is that you will make your affirmations, your declarations, or whatever, and then you'll immediately in the next thought, "No, that's not going to happen. No, don't believe it." So we want you to just make the affirmation, put it there, and just leave it, and just know that it's going to occur. We had him do something else, and we use this in some of our work. We had him write a card, for instance, about the work that we were going to create. We had him do that in 2016. It took a while for it to come about, but then it came about. You each can do that, but it's the contradictions that get you in trouble, you see, because you will state something, and then in the next breath, you're telling yourself, "Nope, I can't do that. It's not me. I don't have it. It's somebody else." That's what happens. Just stick to believing. That's all. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you for that. And the next one, not a question, just wanted to say, hi, Stan. Hello, and you warm my heart. Next question. I am 60 and I finally understand my life purpose.
Hmm.
I finally accept who I am as well.
Good.
Will I find a job soon? I have walked away from most of my jobs because I am not liked or people are just mean and rude. Things are taken away. I know I deserve better. Thank you kindly.
No, this is great. You've been pushed. They helped you. That's all, because now you're walking on your path. And at 60, you have discovered you beat our being here. He wouldn't accept this, and you see how old he is. He wouldn't accept it. So you're ahead of the game. And when you talk about human time in your time trajectory, so you're right on path. But now what you have to do, and this you're going to have to go within to find this. There is something that you are meant to do that's going to give you joy, that you love, that is, and something that you have developed because it's within you. We can already feel that. That's why you were having all this difficulty in the other jobs, because they would feel you're not committed here. You're supposed to be doing something else. And that's within you. And this is why we take you on a journey of self-discovery. And then it starts to come up. You start to see it. And then you have to then form this belief. And then we give you, as we did before, you have to practice something different. You have to start to be patient. You have to be persistent with whatever it is. But what we're saying to you is that there's something, because this is what we're feeling, there's something within you that you love to do that you're not giving yourself permission to do, or you don't think that it's you, or you don't believe it, or there's something like that. But now it's a time for you to start to formulate it. But also be patient with yourself, you see, because now you've uncovered this, and it takes a while for you to assimilate it, for it to integrate into your being. So you're on the right path, but we want you to go back. There's something that you love. Find that what you love, and it could be that it even appeared to you when you were a child, and you put it away. And that's why you went through all the other stuff. But now resurface, restructure yourself by finding that gift that you have that you're going to bring to our world. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that question. Is there anything I should be aware of that I can change to make the platform I'm building expand faster, safer, and more beneficial to members and my team than the current timeline?
Yes. You have to go back in and make it more personal to you. This is what it is. You have to look at it. We love using this because many of you miss things that are not, because they become so second nature to you, things that you've done. And you created this program because you knew that you had something to give the world. You knew that you have developed something, you wanted it to work in a particular way. But the thing that you might have lost sight of now, which would make it come about a lot more, is connecting yourself to why you're doing it, connecting yourself to how you know what you know, and why the passion that you have for giving this work to others is there. That's what you have to do. And as you do that and become more honest, because we can also feel you're not being as vulnerable to your clients as you could be, because that will help them more when you talk about honestly the path that you took to developing this. How did you get there? Why did you do it? When you do that, first of all, you're going to expand, and they're going to see that, they're going to feel that, and they're going to want what you have. That's what's going to make it. And you're at I'm glad you brought up the timeline, because you're on a timeline that is accelerated. So if you do that now, we want to also say, just start planning it now. In the middle of September, it'll take off. So don't be impatient during this particular time. There's some energies that are happening. There are many retrogrades that are happening that won't make it go as quickly as you would like, but the formation of the idea and putting it together and looking at it. And then we use Steve Jobs, because he was so brilliant at doing this, and many of you loses. He would think, how can I look at this from the user's perspective? Or think about that. And how big Apple came, because it's what it is today, but it started with him doing that thing. How is it from the user's perspective? And that's what you have to do with your work. And so we're glad you're going to do it. And now you're going to become more whole by going through that process. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Hi, Wilhelm. I really love learning everything spiritual and have been doing this full time for a few years now, and I am so grateful for that opportunity. Now I am preparing to go back into the workforce as a PSW, caring for those in palliative care and also studying Reiki. Could you please offer some wisdom that can support me to reach my dream of helping those prepare for transition to their next phase of their journey. Thank you.
And we want you to honor why you're doing that. You have a great awareness of the transitions of life. And this is something that most humans are afraid of, and the understanding that you think you're going to, we've told you before, you don't die, you just transition. But depending on how you have lived in this life, you may have a lot of fear about making that transition. But you have an awareness of this that you haven't fully acknowledged or understood yet, which is why you got moved to this work, but you will. And so what you're going to start to understand is that the quality and the service that you're offering to them, the love that you're going to give to them as they are moving through these times. So you just have to remember that all life is about transition, no matter where you are. It's about transition and transformation. That's what you're doing in your individual lives, and that's what your planet is always doing as well. It's just doing it really big time right now. But for you, you're performing this wonderful service, and there's nothing better. We had our being here. He walked both of his parents through their deaths, and yes, it was traumatic at first. But the pain, but the joy that came with knowing that he was offering them some care and some love as they made that journey. You are doing the same thing in your way, but we want you to really appreciate what you're doing, because we're just feeling that hasn't really settled in as to how vital and important this work is. But give it time, because it will. You're going to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Is being in joy and happiness enough to evolve? Is it enough to assist in healing the planet? Is being self-actualized as simple as being self-aware, our divine connectedness as we wake up, and less about doing of anything? At the end of all the healing and evolving over lifetimes, what is the ultimate point, and what happens then?
You are wonderful. We're so pleased that you would say that, because that's what we've been trying to tell you. You're going to oneness eventually, but what you're doing in this lifetime is owning more of who you are and moving to that place. You don't ever get there, so please stop trying to because that's what you each do in your lives. You think there's some place I've got to be already, but no, you are that. What you just said was the explanation that we want you to develop and give to others, because you understand things on this really deep level. You just haven't accepted it yet, and it's coming about. However, you each come into the world at a particular time in your timeline, let's say your individual timeline. But you do that to coincide with what is occurring in your world. Because if you offer your light and love and your energy to the world, you're going to help the world to evolve. Everyone's not going to do that, but the world always evolves, because enough of you do make that choice. But what you are doing now is understanding this on a much greater level, and you're doing it at the right time, because this is a planetary ascension that none of you have experienced, and you have an understanding of that. We just want you to stop thinking that there's some ultimate place. We use ultimate reality, but you don't see that in physical form. Ultimate reality is that place that you reach when you leave your physical body, you see, and then you get there, you say, oh, wow, now I understand everything. There was nothing for me to be afraid of. There was nothing for me to judge myself about. I was really okay. But you don't get there while you're living this physical life, because you come into physical form to experience things. And those experiences are multitudinous. They might be difficult, challenging, painful, and happy and joy, whatever they are. They're bringing something to the collective. And then eventually you ascend to this higher state of understanding. Then you help the rest of the planet do the same thing. And eventually, we can't see where eventually is, though, but eventually more of your world starts to ascend. That's what you're doing now. That's what you're in the process of doing. And we will tell you this, that in 2025, you will really start to see the effects of this. We just want you to be patient as you move through 2024, because it's just the energies are going to be back and forth. And then you have a lot of things that are occurring that are going to that are uncovering and changing and building something new. So that's the build down and the build up. That's what you're moving through. So, but your understanding of this is going to help your planet move to this other place. So everything that you just did, just explain that to folks. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for that question. How do I make myself more open and available to receive or remember everything that I'm supposed to? I feel sometimes we get so wrapped up in day-to-day lives that we overlook things that we're supposed to remember.
Okay, there's several things there. First of all, we want you to not judge yourself for not remembering. That's the first thing. You got to let go of that. The remembering happens it's gradual, and it takes effort on your part. But what will happen is that you will remember whatever is appropriate for you. None of you are going to remember everything. Roger didn't remember all of. He had to get help to remember his ancient Egypt past. He didn't know that. He didn't remember that in his conscious form, but it is there in his DNA, and others can see it and read it. However, what you need to do is just be patient with yourself first. That's the first thing, is just be patient, just understand it's a continual unfoldment that is occurring now. And there's something else there that you're coming that you're becoming aware of and just kind of doubting a little bit. So we gave you something before, and we want you to use this. This will be so perfect for you. Practice patience and persistency, because the practice comes in because you've been thinking something in a different way. Everything is in your thoughts, by the way. There's nothing else other than consciousness, mindset, awareness, however you think of it. But if you've been thinking something in a particular way that has not given you the feeling of the fulfillment, the empowerment, and again, many of you have been programmed over eons to do that. But as you start to change that thought pattern within you, then each day you start to, oh, I can accept this now, and that's okay, I can do that. And then you have to be patient with yourself, because it's going to keep going on. And then the patience, we say that too, because sometimes when you discover things, you start to judge yourself that you didn't know before. And we felt a little bit of that with you. You're not supposed to know until it becomes time. We've given you many messages over the years. A couple of years ago, we said we would give you a message that we will give you more tomorrow. We'll give you more later, because you don't accept it all at one time. It's a progression, and you use linear time to have that happen. So you're doing it, but just we wanted you to take away because we can feel this little bit of judgment, and many of you will have this, that you didn't know something before. You know everything at the time you're supposed to know it, and it'll show up for you. The only question that many of you have is whether or not you're going to accept it. That's all. And that's where the persistence comes about, because you break down those barriers in your thinking over time. And then you say, oh, now I can relax into this wonderful place and this wonderful person that I am. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Greetings, dear Wilhelm. In 2018, I met a man whom I had a past life karmic lesson, and that lesson continued to play out in this lifetime. It caused my divorce and my spiritual awakening. Also in 2018, a lady came to live in the home I was sharing with my children and my then husband. Months after the divorce, my ex married the lady that came to live with us while I was guided towards my healing and spiritual path. Those meetings seemed to be orchestrated. Why is this?
Because you came in to help others understand that scenario. That's all. You don't have experiences in your lives unless they were meant to bring some awareness to others in the collective. That's what happens. You may judge them and think they're weird, and that's why I'd go through that. None of them are weird. None of them are wrong. You just figure out the evolved information that you will get from that scenario. And then what you're going to do, because we can feel this, you're going to help so many other women, and this is the time that you're going to do it when you begin to understand it and accept it, because you're also feeling that you were taken advantage of. You're feeling that you were mistreated, that you were ignored, and all of those things are coming up. And that was never the case. You were coming into empowerment. And so those events brought you to this place of, wait a minute, I need to accept me now. And as you understand that entire scenario, you're going to then bring that awareness to others, and you're going to help so many other women. This particular time in your world, as we've told you, women are so important. The energy of women, the feminine energy is what we're speaking of, but more women have more of it just kind of naturally. However, you've been put down for so long. And so you keep doing things, you keep believing the old programming that tells you you're second class citizens. Your society has done that forever. This is a time of change, and you're going to see so much more of it. And we're so excited about this aspect of it, because in 2024, you're going to see so much more of that. Women are going to become so empowered. That feminine energy is going to come in. And so you're going to offer some understanding, because you're going to say, listen, I was not empowered before, and I went through these things and I understood them, but I'm healing. I went back into what I needed to do, and I'm going to bring this forth so that you can shine, because I'm doing it now. It'll take time, because we know you haven't accepted all of that yet, but it wasn't accidental, and you know that because you said it. You know that this was orchestrated. It's everything in your lives is put there for a reason. It just takes you, we use hindsight so much, because you look back and then you kind of figure it out. But yes, that's wonderful. So you're going to help so many other women. And first of all, and also, forgive yourself. You didn't do anything wrong. You were placed there for this experience. But that when that occurs, many of you start to judge yourselves, and that really halts your ascension, your evolvement when that comes up. Just understand that was something, again, that you accepted, you agreed to, because moving through that understanding, you can now give it to so many others, and you help the world evolve. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. And I just want to speak into the space that we are coming up on time. We have 5 more questions to go, so we are going to go a little bit late. Where is the pain or discomfort in the right side of my head coming from?
You have to ask it. You know this. You have to ask it. See, any kind of pain, you can go inside your body and ask it the question, because it's so specific for you. And so when you ask the question, there's something that you're not embodying in that aspect. Oh, it's just like you're coming to this awareness that you're resisting a little bit. We want you to just go in there and ask questions. Why am I resisting this? Why am I having pain here? Just start asking the questions, and you're going to be surprised at what you're going to find. There's an integration that's occurring within you, and you have not fully accepted that. The awareness is coming, but you just haven't kind of put it together yet, but you will. We want you to be patient. Don't judge yourself for having this. It will start to pass as you start. Just say, why are you here? We will tell you what we used to have our being does. We've talked about his headaches that he's suffered from for decades, actually. And at some point we said, go in and ask it. Ask it what it's trying to tell you. That may not be for all. However, there are times where your physical ailments. Now, all physical things are not going to resolve in the way that you think. However, but for us, it feels that there's just this integration that's going to happen for you. And when you let go of the fear and just start to embracing the new information that's coming in for you. Thank you.
How do you let go of your past when they won't release you?
Your past?
Yes.
Okay. That's you. Nothing has a hold on you except your thinking. That's all. Now, there are reasons for that, however. And so when you discover what the reason is, we have you reinvent your past, first of all, because most of you have been interpreting it in incorrect ways, because you will interpret things that you've moved through as being failures or screw ups or whatever. None of that ever happened. And so as you start reinterpreting that, then you have a different feeling of it. But it feels as if you are judging your past in this way, and it keeps coming back because you haven't gotten the information from it. That's all. And that's the message that we gave you about your story. Your story is unique, and it's valuable because no other soul has it. And then we said that if you attempt to ignore, judge, or dismiss any aspect of your life journey, then you're going to have some difficulty. And so it feels like there's some aspect that you're still judging about your past, and so this was really horrible. That's why it's not letting go, because you hadn't gotten the information and the wisdom, because it wasn't bad. You just move through things that you're supposed to extract that wisdom and bring it to your life and then to the world. just in your, we're not saying you have to go out and tell everyone, but you have to bring it to yourself. And then that's going to lead you to some resolution, let's say, and to letting go of the past. We've told you before, you can change your past, but you only change your past in the present, you see, and that's in your thinking again. Thank you.
Dear Wilhelm, I am here again asking about my relationship. Much evolution is happening in a very short time. From the current horizon, it appears to me that our relationship has served the evolution of myself and my partner and the establishment of our family. However, I am getting an intuition that the next movement means that we will not be together as we have been. But this feels disturbing and scary.
Mm-hmm.
How can leaving a relationship be part of my spiritual evolution? Am I deluded?
Not at all. You're having the feeling. And so the feeling is set. And none of this is why we wanted to talk about relationships so much more. We're having our being doing so much more of that because many of you are going to move through these relationship things because you're evolving. When you evolve, the relationships that you formed, even your familiar relationships or those of your family and all that may shift. And because you have different DNAs, you have different journeys that you're meant to be on, but you have different unique life paths. And sometimes those paths will stay together for the duration of your physical life, and other times they will split apart because like you said, and you're very aware of this, that they serve their purpose. But the other part that you had mentioned is it's scary. It is always scary when you're going to take that next step into the next dimension of your life that is unknown to you. That's why it feels scary. But we also feel that that this is this thing that you want to do, and we want you to move to it with love. Now, we'll give you some help. If you can start to talk about this just briefly, just bring it just honestly and just in a loving way without any kind of judgment about you or the other, none of that. Just that you are feeling this. We may have done what we were supposed to do. Now there may be something else, and I just need to find out what that is. Let me try to find it. Let me try to access the thing that I want to do next, or who I want to be with next. It could be any of those, but just gently. And we want to say this too, because we don't want you to just take some knee-jerk reaction right now. You've been working on it for a while, but this particular period through the beginning of September is going to bring up a lot of questioning and all of that. And so we would just rather you become very clear, use all of this time to form these conversations and all of that. And then later on in September, you'll start to have much more clarity because the communication, which will be the energetic communication, will be much clearer, much more evident to you. But you're taking all the correct steps, and yes, it has moved very quickly. We felt that too. However, so give yourself time. Just relax and just allow it to go, but do it with love. Thank you.
Hi, Wilhelm. I do not know my real birthday. Do you feel the energy when I was born? My dad just put any birth date when we escaped from the war from another country.
Mm-hmm.
I got the date that he wrote down and I translated it into October 31st.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if I got this correct or not, but I resonate with this date than the one on my ID.
Then that's the one you're supposed to use. That's the one that resonates. That's the one that you're supposed to use. When you don't have that, first of all, your energetic connection will always show up. The artificial dates that you each make up don't matter as much, but your energetic connection is what is leading you to that. You don't have any definite proof of what that date is, but your energetic connection came to you, and so that's what we want you to follow because you've discovered who you are now. And so just move with that because it resonated for you. So your higher self said, this is what we want you to pay attention to now. And that's going to make all the difference. And also, don't feel like an outcast because you don't have that exact date. It doesn't matter. And we told Roger that we didn't give him every single date, even in 2012. And when he met someone, if we didn't have a message there for them, so it's because it would interfere with your progress. It doesn't matter. So you're in a great place and just go, but you already connected to that message. So please go with that. And that's going to really help your life so much more. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And here we are at the final question. Since their early childhood, I've encouraged my kids to play musical instruments. However, after a while, the kids did not want to play anymore. A few months ago, after seeing the piano full of dust, I decided to sit down and teach myself to play it. I'm learning to play faster in a few weeks than my kids in an entire year. Was the learning of the musical instrument meant for me all along and not my kids?
Yes, we love that. We love that. Sometimes parents will try to get their kids to do certain things and just understanding, wait a minute, this is what I wanted to do too. And I just put it away and I forgot about it. Now my kids are becoming my teachers. That's exactly what happened. Roger's mother was playing piano as well, and she tried to get him to play. She did everything to get him to play, and he just couldn't do it. And then then she gave up, and she sent him to someone else. Maybe that'll help him. It never happened. He never learned how to play, but it didn't hold him back because he developed that musical ability in a different way, which was really very odd. But that's because it was coming through us, because it was just a consciousness thing as well. However, yes, we feel that. And please, there's more there too. There's more that you're discovering. There's this creativity that's now developing, and you might even make some compositions. You're going to get good enough that you're going to maybe write some songs. There's something else. And please, we're feeling the joy of this. And thank your kids for leading you there, because it opened you up to something that was within your path that you had not seen, that was just kind of put away. You all get awakened to things in that way, sometimes very bizarrely, however, but that was not accidental. And the reason that it's coming so fast for you is because it's something that you were meant to do. We're so pleased that you're doing it, and we want you to have the joy while you're doing it. Just feel the love for yourself as you're doing it. Thank you.
And that is our final question. We are complete on questions.
Thank you. We want to thank all of you again for being here. We want to tell you the reason we have done all of this is that your world is moving through a great transition. And this is the best opportunity that you have ever had in any existence. We know many of you don't understand about your existences, but you have always been. You've always existed in spiritual form. You just have different incarnations that you come in to perform a particular duty. And that duty is to love yourselves, is to bring your talents and your gifts, because you all have them. They've just sometimes been programmed out of you, but you all have them. But the energy that you're going to bring forth now during this time and this next year is going to be tremendous in the formation of your world. That's why we gave you the message this morning saying that you are manifesting the new world. And we thank you so much for doing it. And we love you all so much.
I haven't done anything like this.
It's increased the confidence that I had in myself.
Everything is better. I mean, every single aspect of my life. My income, the progress is just amazing. Like, you can see changes from week to week.
Introducing your last development program, Life Transformation for Success, the newest part of Roger Burnley's coaching series. In this 3-month online program, you will learn the mindset tools you need to dissolve the shame of your past, discover the gifts within you that make you important to the world, and get the confidence to rise above anything that stands between you and the life that you want.
Everything changed in my life. Everything. Every single thing.
It's time for you to reprogram your mind for success and become self-actualized. If you're ready to transform your life too, learn more at yourlastdevelopmentprogram.com today.